Hello out there. Welcome everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hi. We are beginning the story structure challenge. Yes, it is hard, a mouthful to get through. I'm very excited to get this kicked off. I have Kevin here. We're all part of the AutoCrit team. If you're not familiar with AutoCrit, we are an online home for writers. We have our fully functional writing desk where you can plan, write, and edit your story. We have our online community, which features great competitions such as this. Shout out to all of you out there in the AutoCrit community. And we have our Academy page where we do online workshop and courses, and we give educational content similar to what we give on this channel. And then, of course, we have personalized author services as well. But I know what you're all here for. You're here for the story structure challenge. What is the story structure challenge? Well, in order to talk about that, I'm going to actually pivot to the concept of story structure altogether. Why story structure? Why should you even be concerned with story structure? Story structure is one of those things that people can feel very aggravated by or concerned with, because as soon as you hear that word structure as an artist, you're like, oh, that's really confining. That's really formulaic. What's going on? But when we use the term story structure around AutoCrit, we really mean, the bones of a story, the basic building blocks. We're not trying to get you into any sort of strict formula or anything like that. But just like somebody who's going to be a good baker would need to know the proper ingredients in order for their cake to rise before they experiment, it's helpful to know what goes into a compelling story, gives it that skeletal structure. And so we often refer to beat sheets. You might be saying, well, I'm a pantser. I don't do anything like this. Well, it's okay, because we're going to give you some of those tools to help. Everybody does a little bit of planning, I would think. A lot of you may be planters or pantsers, depending on your framing. But story beats are really something that everybody can understand. These are those pivotal moments of your story where major things change. A character makes a major life decision, events cause the protagonist to get involved in the story, etc., etc. And we have given all of you story beat sheets to work from. Kevin's going to be demonstrating too, where you'll find them within the writer's desk itself. And we'll be guiding you through the whole process of learning how to use story beats to your advantage. And again, this is something that will benefit everybody. Some of you, like I said, may be a pantser, which means, you do fly by the seat of your pants. And perhaps you're going to end up using things like story structure more in developmental edit. But for the purpose of this challenge, we're tasking all of you to become a little bit of a planner. I know it's a challenge, and actually plan out some story beats. Feel the beat as I pelt you with vegetables. I know we talk so much about beats, it starts to make me really hungry for beats. All right, so that being said, what is this challenge? How does it work? Okay. So the way that the challenge is going to work is we are going to task you to write a beat sheet for an original story. Okay. Now, if that sounds really daunting, well, we have some special tools that are going to help you with that process that Kevin is going to reveal in just a moment. So stay tuned for that. So if you're not concerned, if you are concerned about that part of the process, don't let that worry you. But the next step is going to be that you are going to write to a beat that is revealed next week. So we're not going to tell you which beat is going to be the key beat. Like I said, I'm saying beats a lot. We're not going to tell you which one is the focus beat of this challenge until next week. So between now and then, what we advise you to do is make a beat sheet as compelling as possible, shore up all of those beats, make sure it's nice and clean and pretty. And then next week, we will tell you which beat you want to use for the purpose of writing a scene for that specific beat. Now, you're not going to have a lot of time to write the specific scene, so I really want you to use the time until the scene is revealed to get into the mindset of the story as best as you can. Okay, this is a bit of a frenzied challenge. We are making it a true challenge. We're trying to stretch everybody in the community. We heard from you that you love this. So if you're like, what is going on? It's like, blame the others. No, I'm just kidding. But we constantly hear when we challenge you that you love to rise to the challenge and learn from the experience. Ultimately, that's what this is about, right? This is a fun experience. It's to make us all better authors. Okay, so we're going to give you the scene for that specific beat, and then we want you to write a scene. The scene can be up to 1,000 words. If you do not have 1,000 words in you that you're going to be able to crank out in that week of time, don't panic. It is fine because there's no minimum. You know, obviously, if you just give one word, probably not going to make it to the finals. But the point is that you should not go over 1,000 words. Okay, so this is really kind of a flash fiction scene. You're hinting at what you're doing. Again, the purpose of this exercise is to get you thinking in a different way about how much prep you might do before you get started writing. And you may find that you'll become a planner. You may find that you still want a pants, but this helps you development editing. You know, these sort of exercises are just beneficial to just experiment, try something new. And we are going to read live the finalists, and the finalists will be voted by the audience in real time. So ultimately, that is who you're having to please. You're not having to please me in terms of being the grand winner. You will be voted on by the audience. And of course, we will also have some grab bag prizes just because you got involved in the challenge. Also, I will point out, we're going to do some pop-up challenges for the community, and they'll involve the Inspiration Studio, which we're about to hear about. So speaking of which, you might be saying, all right, this is all great and all, but I'm a pantser. So your first step is like, what? I'm supposed to write a beat sheet and I don't really know how to do that. And scared, anxiety. Okay. We're here to help you out with that. And we have some special tools that live within the writing desk that can make this all the easier, really. So I'm going to hand it over to Kevin, who's going to show us some of these features inside the Inspiration Studio that are going to benefit us in this challenge. So go ahead, Kevin. The floor is yours. I have no idea what a beat sheet looks like. Don't worry, you will.
Don't worry, we will. We're going to go through it. And there's a couple other questions, like what if I'm only a free user? Don't worry, we have a plan for everybody to get through this challenge. It's going to be a little bit easier if you're a paid member, but yes, you can still participate as a free member.
Don't worry, free users will have access as well to some of the things that Kevin's going to be showing you. Don't worry, he'll show you.
Let me go ahead and show this off a little bit. Let me share my screen. There we go. I'll open up the last file. Oops. Refresh. Perfect. Okay. So when you first come into AutoCrit, you might see this right here. I'm zoomed in a little bit. Let me zoom out for this. So you're going to see the hub. This is for those of you who are new to AutoCrit. Even a free member, you're going to have access to this point. You could come in and create a blank document, or you can continue writing when you worked for in the past. So let's go ahead and continue writing what I've started before. This is actually just a snippet of Frankenstein, actually, from another demo I was doing. So no worries there from a copyright issue, because this is free out in the web. So when you get in the system, we have a new tab. If you're familiar with AutoCrit in the past, we have a new tab called Inspiration. Now this is where our beat sheets live. This is where a couple new features we have. I'll go ahead and click on it. We've built a couple of new AI features into AutoCrit. Now don't get too worried that they're not generative AI in the sense that they're going to generate text for you. It's more of an ideation or inspiration, as we like to call it, or Inspiration Studio. This is where we're going to let AutoCrit work with you to inspire you to do different things and to hopefully get past writer's block or get stuck, or help you create things like beat sheets, which can be a struggle for some, especially if you're on the pantser side. So first off, before I jump into the story builder and the beat sheets, I just want to show that we do also just created a couple of things like what happens next. So let's just say I wasn't sure what was going to happen next here, and I was writing. the system will give you some ideas here going forward. Let me regenerate that again. And what's happening now, it's actually reading your text, and it's going to come up with some different ideas to do different things, and like heighten tension, reveal character motivation, come up with plot twists. So this is a real fun thing. I don't want to go into too much detail on this because I know we're here to talk about beat sheets, but I just want to show that we've done a lot in the system now, and I really want you to play with it when you come in. So you can also change the mood. Maybe it was too dark. You want to make it happy instead and accept it. You'll just give you ideas on what maybe you could do with your characters and your people on the page to twist things around and get past that writer's block if you're trying to achieve something and you just can't, you just need ideas. So it's a super helpful element that kind of comes in and works with you as an author. But like I said, there's so many features inside of AutoCrit that I can't go through them all, but I really want to focus this little bit because I know we're focused on this challenge on our new story builder. So this is kind of where we're going to be working a lot within this challenge, and this is brand new. I think we've had it out maybe a week, and so some of you might have seen it, but not quite sure how it works or how to use it. We've just made some recent updates, so that's why it's still kind of in the beta version. But it's been tested, and it should work great. We haven't had any issues, so we're throwing it out to the wolves here, so everybody should be able to jump in and give it a run. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new story builder idea. Now, what this is going to do, it's basically opening up options for a new story idea. It could be any story you want, where we start with the story premise. We have world building, character building, where all your characters that could go in there, and then our lovely beat sheet down here, which is the purpose of our challenge. So you can start anywhere in this document. If you know your characters, you can click here and you can fill out your characters here, right? Or you can have the system generate a character for you with this little generate idea. So you work with the system. But for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead, since I don't have anything off the top of my mind, I'm going to go ahead and let the system generate a story premise idea for me. So you'll notice that these little generate ideas are all down the side. So this is the same UI. So I'm going to click on generate idea. Now it's going to generate a premise. So a young detective must solve a series of mysterious murders in a small town. Yada yada. So looks like this is going to be a murder mystery story. If you don't like that, that's not what I want. Just generate a new idea. It'll give you a new story idea to play with. Now, you can also change the premise that comes up. Instead of the few survivors, let's say the many survivors. The whole point here is that you make changes and you work with AutoCrit, not against it. So we're not just sitting here pushing a button and letting AutoCrit generate this whole thing for us. We're actually typing in here, and all the changes that you make are then updated across the board as you go down and work. So now when I look for the characters and the protagonist, now it's going to go with many survivors instead of few survivors. So you can change names, you can change places, do whatever you want. Oh, and by the way, you should probably name it up as well. Let's go ahead and give this thing a name. Let's see here. This is going to be demo. Okay, so this is a demo file, or whatever you're going to name it for your story and whatnot. So this is going to be saved. So when I come back, let's close this. When I come back, it's going to just pop right back up. So you can kind of work with it in the system. It's basically another file, right? This is an idea file, or however you want to think about it. But it's inside your file, but it's its own little separate world where you're playing. So anywhere along the way, let's say I want to generate my general geography. You just click the button, and it generates some ideas. And culture and conflicts. Let me pop that again. Oh, there it goes. All right, and also you can generate characters. Ava. I don't like Ava. I do like May for some reason. So let's change it. And now it's locked, a little lock button locked, so now it won't get updated. It's a skilled survivor list. Skilled nurse, let's say. So now it's locked in place, and when I go to anywhere else, it's going to use May as a nurse, so an antagonist. And you don't have to use any of these generation things. You can completely do this from scratch on your own. And I recommend actually doing both. I recommend putting in what you think and generating some ideas and going back and forth and modifying it until you get something really clean and neat. Because obviously the system is going to generate things that might be a little bit more generic or might not be as exciting as you want them, or might be not exactly what the flavor you're looking for. So by all means, the whole purpose here is you as the author, you as the creative force behind this, to go ahead and modify it and make it your own and do something special with it. So I'm not going to go through all of these because I want to go down to the beat sheets. So down here, this is the purpose of this challenge. We're gonna create a list of these beats, and the story beats are basically it's a rough outline. It's like an idea outline of your story, right? If you're not familiar with the beat sheet, it's like there's quite a few popular ones, like Save the Cats out there. There's the hero's journey. There's, I don't know. Everybody's got their own. There's a romantic one. Whatever. People have built their own. Some are like 20 points long. Some are 12. Whatever. It's kind of like your idea of what needs to happen in the story at some point, right? In order to connect the dots, in order for things to come to fruition or complete the circle from an opening image to a closing image of your story. So it's a rough outline that's been used, and it really can help you make sure you do hit those really high emphasis plot points and you don't fall flat on your story. This kind of helps, especially sagging middles and all those other things. If you have certain elements you want to hit, super helpful. Anyway, we do have the option for a couple of different ones we've pre-built in here. Plot centered, one that's all about the plot, one with a romance element to it, a mystery, short story, which is similar to some of the others, but just shorter. Clearly, you don't have as much space to put all the beats in there. And then character centered, that's kind of more of your character focused or hero's journey-ish type beat sheet that's going to be thrown through there. So by just choosing one of the different ones, it'll actually character centered will then change the beats that show up below. So if I do say mystery, for example, false clues, hidden clues, initial set. So different things that come up. But for this challenge, Daniel, I believe we're going to be sticking with plot centered. Is that correct? We're going to be staying with the plot centered beat sheet.
That is correct. Yes. For the purpose of this challenge, we are going to stick with plot centered. And this is also the beat sheet that we've used in the past. So if you go back to some of our videos, for example, the drop the beat challenge, we've already done a beat sheet challenge before. This one's a little bit different. And you can see we go through all of these different beats in detail and explain, what is the purpose of, each beat in it.
Exactly. I don't want to go through and try to explain all this here. Hopefully, if you haven't, go to where Daniel mentioned and find some information if you're not sure what the heck is a glimpse at theme and what does it mean. Or better yet, I always find it sometimes easier just to go ahead and experiment. Let's see what the theme beat might be using the generative AI here.
Exactly. I mean, this is one of those things where, often when you learn a concept like what a beat is, it's very abstract. This will really help you put some, meat on the bones, as it were. And so you can put in that premise and you can say, okay, what would be the disaster of a story like this? And you can hit generate, and then you'll get the idea. Oh, that's the kind of beat that would be the expectation, right? Yes. Now, people are commenting about, all of a sudden it's like, well, it's going to change what I'm doing and things like that. That is correct, right? It is an idea generator. Now, the more you put in, the more you're going to back it into a corner because it will listen to you. One thing that I believe Kevin has mentioned, but every time you hit generate idea, it is not just referring back to the premise. It is referring to everything on the screen. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you put in, let's imagine, you could start anywhere. You could start with a protagonist who is, a squirrel and an antagonist that's a space alien, right? And then it'll start to come up with story points that could involve those characters in conflict with each other. You can start anywhere. You don't have to start with a premise, world building, whatever. And as you go, you can get more concrete on all the ideas. And so therefore, it will generate. I mean, if you wanted to use this, and some people are like, I don't really need to do this. I have all these ideas myself. I would just love to use this as a template. Right. Yeah. You could just use this as a template. One thing it might do for you that would be really fun, though, is that some people say, I'm really bad at summarizing my story. You could use this, fill in everything, and then go back and then generate the premise. It will generate the premise based on what you typed in, and it can give you a nice short version of what it is that you've written. So there's so many different ways that you can use this tool. It's really at whatever level you want. For the purpose of this challenge, we're not asking anybody to have to use the Inspiration Studio. We just wanted to give you a leg up for those of you who were struggling with the beat sheet. It's a great tool to help you to utilize it. The main challenge is really the 1,000 word scene, and that's something that you will have to write. We are not going to do that for you.
Yes. So I was just showing, as Daniel was talking there, that you could typically, if you know your protagonist is a logger who lives in Alaska, by all means, fill it out. Put 2 or 3 or 4 sentences in here. You have up to 500 characters to write whatever you want about your people, your characters, your world, whatever. This could be just simply your template, right? This could be your spreadsheet, your whatever you want to call it. This could be your notes. Use it as you will. You can generate or not generate. That's totally your call. That's the whole point, is we're helping you organize some of these thoughts. And if you feel intimidated by trying to create a beat sheet, by all means, let us help you do it. I think this is part of the challenge here, to use a beat sheet. Now, what's going to happen, as Daniel mentioned, is one of these beats down here, we're going to pick one, any one of these, whether it be the quest or some sort of B story or a midpoint perhaps, or the villains add pressure. We're going to pick one of these beats. We're going to have you write those 1,000 words off of that mysterious beat. So you don't know what that beat's going to be yet until next week, right, Daniel? Are you going to reveal it on Tuesday, or do we not know when you're going to reveal that beat?
We're going to reveal it next week. And people are kind of confused. They're like, well, wait, do we use it or do we not? Again, it's up to you, right? The template is what everybody is going to need to submit. And Kevin is going to show you. I know some of you are like, well, I'm a free user, so I don't have access to this tool. You can still participate in the challenge. And he'll show you how you find the template for your beat sheet in that situation. But no, I mean, it is really up to you. We're not going to know whether or not you sat there and you generated all of the beats to get started for your 1,000 word scene, or if you went through and you crafted them. And that's not really going to be what is critical. What is critical is this is a starting point. Essentially, think of it as a way for us to give you a fun prompt, right? But you get to kind of tinker with your own prompt to write that scene.
Yes. So just so you're aware, we do. So all right, this is great. All the stuff lives in here. How do I get it out? What do I do with it? Well, each one of these elements, you have a copy to a note. So if you're familiar with AutoCrit, we have notes alongside. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how that works. So we can export any one of these sections just by clicking here, or like characters. So this will be clicking up above. Will grab all my characters or all my beats. So you can copy to a note. So let's copy these beats to a note. Right. So that copied all these beats to a note. So now when I close this, and you look down here, I have all those in my notes on the side. So right on the sidebar here, I'll show you how to get to it. It pops open automatically. But so we have notes here. Let me change the color so you can see where it's a note. So this is a note, our sidebar notes, and then you can click here to make them full screen, or you can make them use a pure corkboard view as well. But for this example, let's just go and open it up. So it exported this, and basically it's another text file where you can write in here. You can fill this out further. You can add images. You can do whatever you want with it. You can get as detailed with your beat sheet as you like. So this was exported out of that beat sheet builder, or you can just leave the beat sheet alone. You come back in here, and since you have it named, it is still there. Everything is where you left it. So you can work inside or outside the system. Some people might, who are more the planner types, might want to go in here and really dial this in and put a lot more information in these different elements. And some people might just be happy with 1 sentence or 2 sentences for each one of these elements. So kind of do it with it as you will. Now, let's just say, because this is a paid feature here under the Inspiration Studio. Let's say that you're a free member and like, oh, how do I get access? What do I do? It's pretty easy. You're going to go to your notes, right? And we're going to add a note board at the top. So click Add Note Board. You'll have access to this. Let's give it a name, Demo for Challenge. And you'll come down here, and we have AutoCrit Plot Centered Beat Sheet. You're going to select this guy and save it. And what that did is it opened up Demo for Challenge. It basically brought in your beat sheet here, and you can fill this out by hand, right? you wouldn't be able to have the ability to use the AI tool with it, which is totally fine if that's not your thing. But we're going to ask you to submit inside of AutoCrit in this note, just to keep everything organized on our end. So let me go back through that again. You would come into AutoCrit, open up a file, click on your notes, click on Add a Noteboard, and you're going to find the AutoCrit plot-centered beat sheet from the drop-down and give it a name, and it will generate a beat sheet for you. And you just open it up, and boom, there you go. You can start typing in here and fill out your beat sheet. And what's going to happen is when we're done, so first off, we're all aware that we're going to pick one of these elements for you guys to write 1,000 words on. And we want you to write those 1,000 words inside of AutoCrit, right? So we're just going to go in here, close this out. Go ahead and put, or you can write that in Microsoft Word or whatever you want, but just copy and put it in here. This is going to be your file you're going to submit. You're actually going to submit inside of AutoCrit for this challenge. So go ahead and drop your 1,000 words in, whatever it is that we choose, whatever beat. And there's going to be an option here we're going to open up right here. Actually, it just popped up under submissions. And you're going to click that, and you're going to actually submit. And we're going to see this file. We're going to open up this file, and we'll be able to review and read it. As Daniel mentioned, we're going to have the audience participation there and vote on it, things of that nature. So that's the ultimate goal here. You can either do it in the notes if you're a free member like this, or if you're a paid member, you can just click on your story builder, and you can just submit it, and we'll be able to find it in here as well. So you don't have to export it to a note. If you're a paid member, you can just leave it right in here and utilize the template that's already built in for you. And you can utilize, generate as many ideas as you want, or write it all by hand. It's up to you. It's all we care about is the final product and the final beat sheet and the final 1,000 words on the mysterious beat that we're going to select.
Yes, the mysterious beat. And really that is going to be the number one concern. We've done things like Destination Unknown, where we gave you a random opening sentence and things like that. So think of all of this process to get that beat sheet as just a way to set up a very interesting prompt to force you to write a specific scene within a specific part of the story, and to establish, again, practicing story structure in general. We're just stretching you. We're giving you a fun challenge to play with. I'm really looking forward to it, particularly because even though everyone's going to be tackling the same segment of the story, I'm sure depending on what kind of story it is, that beat is going to feel very different. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. I'm excited.
Yes, me too. This is going to be, we've never done this before like this, so really excited about it, and excited to, I'm happy to have everybody come in and play with the tool as well, because I think once you get in, it's really not that intimidating. It's literally as easy as clicking buttons. Just click a button and it just pops up. You won't break it, and just have a ton of fun with it. And I think it will explain itself as you go. It's super. We're happy here at AutoCrit to keep bringing these new elements to the table for our users, and so yeah, really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with, what ideas you can work with to define this. And one other thing too, just for our current members that may or may not be aware, back here where we have all our files, zoom out, we've added a couple of tabs here so you can access your story ideas. In this case, I just did that demo. You can continue building these story ideas. You don't have to open up the file if you don't want to. And you can also copy these story ideas, write in a new file. So you can do a lot. These are basically another set of files for you, so that when you can come in, you don't have to have a file associated with it. You can just create a blank idea here, blank idea, and not even go inside a file. So you can have hundreds of ideas, if you like, that aren't even associated with anything that's written. If you just want to sit there and just think about it, now I have a new blank idea, it's not associated with a file, boom, there you go. You can come in here and just play with your story ideas inside of AutoCrit. Whether you just want to be world building, character building, whatever, play with, maybe I want to write a mystery. Maybe I have an idea for a mystery. I've never written a mystery before. How would I write a mystery? Well, come in here and play with it, right? It'll help you follow through the different elements that should go into a.
Yeah, it is fun too, because the mystery beat and the romance beats, obviously there are genre specific, story type specific demands, right? So even if you do not have a crime set up in your premise or anywhere else, it will just make one up for you. So here we have an entire stock of medical supplies has been stolen. Oh no, right? So it fit what you were establishing. Now, if you wanted to be specific about it, you could either go in there and write what the mystery revealed is yourself. So it'll base it on that, or you could put it in the premise or something like that. But it will just make one up. Same thing with romance. If you do not have any romantic entanglement, and you add romance and you do the meet cute, it's going to make up something that means that somebody has to be together. Yep.
Right. So yeah, it's kind of fun. So you might take your story that you might have been urban fantasy or something like that, and you want to make it into something else. You could see what you could do with it just for the fun of it. So I love it because of the creativity really flows from it, and the ideas are endless. And the potential.
We have some questions too about genre. Memoir, yeah. I would say memoir, you're probably either going to do plot centered or character centered. Often memoir character centered would work well. Now remember, it's going to generate ideas, right? And a memoir is generally based in real life. So it would be a tricky one to use from that standpoint. But in terms of the beats, it's a great template for that because what it creates is an arc of personal growth and discovery. We had questions about fantasy and sci-fi. Fantasy and sci-fi would generally fit in with either plot-centered or character-centered. Where you would want to put in your sci-fi-ness or fantasy-ness, right, would be in the premise, in the world building, things like that, right? So if you establish the general geography and you say, this is a world where, elephants could fly and pigs can talk and things like that, it will start to utilize that, in the rest of it. Because in terms of the story type, really fantasy can be lots of things. I would say a lot of fantasy, though, does tend to fall into the character-centered sort of classic, character journey as well. But sometimes it's a mystery, right? You can have a crime story in a fantasy, right? It's like, who did this magic, who stole the treasure, and something like that, right? Or a romance, right? You can have paranormal romance where it's fantastical characters getting together. So,
and the beauty of it is, if you want to try something different, you don't like it, you can either just delete all, clear the whole thing. Here, yep. You clear the story builder, or just create a new one. Like I said, you're going to have options where you can write as many stories as you want now. Like I have a blank idea, my romance, so you can delete them at any time. You can open them up, do it. So just play with it. This is like an idea box. It's like a little treasure trove here inside of AutoCrit. So I don't feel that sometimes I feel like when you come in and you have the words on the page, you might feel so much pressure that you actually have to write 40,000 words about this or something. Well, that's not the case here. We're really just spitballing a little bit, throwing ideas back and forth, and you can kind of pick some that you like. Oh, I really like this idea. I'm going to actually write this idea. And then you can move it into a file, and then you could start writing it and kind of put some flesh on the bones there. But if you just want to play, or you just want to think about it and just let the creativity fly, that's what it's there for. So you can always have access to it outside here as well, and all your ideas are, which we try to organize it without having to actually let you organize it. That's the other thing.
Yeah, right? We wanted to do it on the fly. I mean, so many authors struggle with things like that with organization. So one thing I really love about it is as you're exporting notes and things like that, it's keeping them compartmentalized for you and things like that.
Exactly, because we don't want to make you link them. We don't want to make you save them or do this. We just want you to be able to click a button, do something with it. So that's kind of our motto here at AutoCrit is we want you to be organized without actually trying to be organized to some degree. That's a good goal, right, for everybody. So hopefully make organization fun and easy. And that usually that's when I think when you're not worried about things like that, that's when the creativity and you have a lot of success in life too. And this kind of thing is when you're not struggling or trying to feel like you're pushing a rock uphill all the time on some of the simple things, especially with software and things that aren't really helping you write. So we're really trying to help you write and not think about these other things.
Exactly. And again, with the ideation, it's really a way to maybe clear your writer's block, get some different ideas. I mean, you could literally fill in everything but one block because it's like I'm just stuck in the middle, like something, and then you could, refresh and get some different ideas, and it might just stir some thinking and things like that. We had a question about the scene. Is it a scene, not a story? Right. We're not going to be looking for a 1,000 word synopsis of the entire thing. You will be giving us the beat sheet along that you used, because we need the context of the scene we're talking about, right? As well as the scene. But we are mostly going to be looking at the scene in terms of who the finalists are. And we will be giving the audience a synopsis of what's going on. We're not going to read the entire beat sheet. We'll be reading the entire scenes, but we won't be reading the entire beat sheets for context.
Yes. So the goal is to elaborate on that beat as you need. It might not be a full scene, might be within 1,000 words, right? Whatever. It's not going to be a whole chapter, but whatever you need to put that beat on a page, so that it kind of well rounds it and it really fits into whatever your story is. That's what we're going to be looking for, right? So, as complete a scene as possible would be great, of course, but whatever you need to do to describe that beat on a page in a story form.
All right, so we're getting some logistical questions here. Will we all be given the same beat? Yes, we're going to reveal the beat. Everybody gets the same one. When
that would be
turn in the beat sheet? You will be able to turn them in 2 weeks from now. So next week we're going to announce what the beat is, and then we will open it up for submissions, and then we'll have a few days of that. Submissions will close on the 30th, the end of the month. Okay, so it is a pretty
just so we're clear on this, Daniel. Yeah. When we say we're going to give you the beat, we're not going to give you the actual text. We're going to give you the name of the beat. It's like status quo.
Yeah, right.
We'll give you the specific for people to call. Right. We're going to give you that. You have to write what that beat is, right? We're not going to give you the written beat, like the little synopsis. We'll pick one of these elements out of plot-centered. Plot-centered is the key. And we're going to pick inciting incident. Maybe we'll have you write the inciting incident. So we'll just say inciting incident is the beat we're going to write. And you have to actually write the beat. So I just want to be clear on that, too. We're not going to provide the idea. You're going to come up with the idea.
Yep. Write a beat sheet, get the compulsory beat prompt, write 1,000-word scene. Yep, exactly. Right on the money. And so next week, we will be giving that. The 1,000-word scene is the 30th. But you don't have to write 1,000 words. It's just up to. That's the maximum. I expect for a quick challenge like this, we will end up with some flash fiction-y sort of quick things, quick moments, things like that. You're confused on how you start today without the beat. Well, that's why you're going to have to, you need to do the entire sheet, right? You don't know which one we're going to use. And so make sure you fine tune it so that the entire beat sheet is great. So that way, when we pick the specific one, you're all ready for it.
Yeah.
How to start? You can start by, if you have access to the Inspiration Studio, you could just literally have it generate prompts for you until you get to a result you like. So you don't have to do anything, or you could use it as a template and make up an entire beat sheet all on your own. You get to decide. This is it is up to you, because ultimately you get to decide what beat sheet you're going off of. So do you want one that is completely generated by, because the story builder will in fact give you something completely all on its own. If you want, you could generate the story premise and you could generate every beat and just say, I'm done. I don't think that's terribly interesting sounding, to be honest. I would like to have a little more involvement with that. So I would tinker around. But yeah, if you'd like to start there, and then you'll just be waiting until next week until we give you the story beat. That's up to you.
Yes. And as we mentioned, you can do the story builder, or if you're a free user, you can start. And
if you're a free user, you will need to build the beat sheet yourself. Now, for those of you who aren't paid members, you can in fact become one for $1. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat, and that will give you access to the Inspiration Studio as well. So that's another way to get involved. But no, you don't have to. If you want to use this as a challenge just to learn how to write a beat sheet, fair enough.
Yes. So the $1 offer that Daniel's going to throw in the chat there, that's simply so for 14 days, you have access to everything that Autocrat has to offer. So it's a great opportunity to play with it. You get access to the story builder, all the AI features. You get access to everything. So if you're not already a member, for $1, give it a shot for 14 days. You can cancel anytime, no pressure. We're not here to force anything on you or like, oh, I got to sign up for 10 years now. It's like a timeshare. No, it's not a timeshare, right? You can cancel anytime. Okay,
we have people asking about genre preference. No genre preference. Flash fiction, short story novel doesn't really matter. Although I will say, if you look at that big beat, it's really not going to apply to flash fiction. There's just too many going on in that beat sheet. Even for short story, most short stories aren't going to encompass all of those beats, right? But if you have a very dense short story, it's possible that you might have something close to that. But yeah, I would say the beat sheet that we have in mind is really more for a full-length story. However, what genre it is does not matter.
No, the plot-centered beat sheet will pretty much work with almost any, to some degree, almost work with any genre, right? We have some more specialized ones in here, but this is basically
it is the basic story arc of a typical conflict, a typical story, etc. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We have people saying program, it's worth it, worth every penny, and keep expanding, improving. Thank you so much for those wonderful comments. That's really what we're here for. We keep trying different things. And, we wanted to do something different. Again, encouraging you to expand your horizons a little bit. A lot of you would perhaps like to be more planning or more organized or whatnot. And so this is a challenge to stretch your creativity a little bit. So please go ahead and, embrace it and go on into it.
Yes. And Daniel, we're going to be providing additional information. This is not like we're just going to have this live stream and abandon you guys. No, we're going to be sending you emails and updates. And we're going to have another live stream next week when we do the big reveal. So just, stick with us, stay with the community, keep opening your emails, keep following along and participate as we go.
All right. The 1,000 words are going to be a specific part of the novel that we will tell you. Yeah, we're going to tell you that next week. So for now, this is the easy way to think about it. For now, your assignment is to either go into the Inspiration Studio, use the plot-centered tool to go ahead and either generate a beat sheet with the help of the idea generation, or just go ahead and fill it out yourself, all from your own original ideas. Or go into the notes and look at the beat sheets provided there if you are a free member, or if you would prefer to do it that way and build your beat sheet that way. Do you want to go ahead and show them again, Kevin, where they would find that?
Sure. So that's the story builder. This is the one here where you would go if you are a paid member. Mm-hmm. And if you want to just fill out you'd go click on notes, add note, plot centered, give it a name. And when you do that, it'll actually pop up a note here. And then you can open, or you can type here on the side if you want. But usually it's easier to just click this full screen view. And that way you can fill out your beats here manually.
Exactly.
So, and it all works. And it'll be saved.
So whatever you would prefer. But your goal is by next week, that is done. So therefore, when you get your beat, so we'll say, you need to write, for example, the disaster moment. Let's say we choose that. Well, then you would have to therefore write something that's up to 1,000 words that is reflecting of that scene. So you're jumping right into the middle of a story. I can guarantee you, I will say this, it's not going to be the opening beat. It's not going to be the closing beat.
Ooh, wow.
So there you go. You've eliminated 2 from consideration.
You got to get past the opening beat, right?
The live stream will be available later. Yeah, somebody asked. We always put this immediately.
Sure.
I love to do the cliffhanger. You can't give away everything at once, right? No, and if we told you what the beat was, then you might just write that one beat, right? And then that's kind of defeating the purpose. We really want it to be a complete story. We're just getting a little piece of it. I mean, I'd love to do a challenge where everybody writes a whole novel and we get to read a whole bunch of stuff, but that's a little time consuming at this point. Maybe one of these days.
Isn't that called NaNoWriMo? Isn't that NaNoWriMo already done something like that, right?
At the end of this, we could have an awkward author dance party, perhaps. All right.
Okay. So I think we're good from here, right, Daniel? I don't want to overwhelm anybody or
No,
give
I
anybody
think that
too
is
much.
good. Thank you so much, Kevin, for showing us that. Whoops, sorry, I don't like that layout. Let's go with this. Wait, where are you? There you are. As I do have a couple things I want to wrap up here. In the AutoCrit world tonight at 7 p.m. is going to be another fantasy club. This is free to any pro members, so anybody with a membership, or if you went for the dollar offer to get into the Inspiration Studio, you can come in there, and I will be discussing how to plan a fantasy more or less using the same story beats that we're talking about here. I'll go over the ones that are in the Inspirational Studio for plot centered versus character centered, and the differences between them, and how some authors might want to use one format versus the other, and things like that. You want to see me flop? That's never going to happen. I am not coordinated in that way. If you want to send somebody my way that's really good at dealing with that, I am a good tap dancer, but I cannot floss. I've never tried. And then horror, we have a horror club tomorrow at 6 p.m. We have our accountability club every week at 11 a.m. on Mondays, and those are all Eastern time, by the way. So fantasy tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, horror tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, and accountability club at 11 a.m. on Mondays. So for all of you who are pro members, or like I said, maybe you just joined us, and welcome aboard so you can get in the Inspiration Studio. You also have access to all those clubs too. So woohoo! It's always a good time to join the party here at AutoCrit. In the meantime, though, I hope to see you around at some of these events in the community. I'm really looking forward to all of the results coming from everybody for these beat sheets. And of course, I'm sure you're looking forward to finding out what beat we're going to task you to write from next week. But you'll have to wait for next week to find out about that. But in the meantime, we'll also have some fun pop-up events in the community as well. Somebody was asking about explanation to the beat sheet titles. I'm going to go ahead in just a moment, and I'll throw in the description here the video that we did for the Drop the Beat, and that's where Gareth and I went through all of those beats. They're the ones that are going to be found in the plot-centered sheet or in that note that you're going to bring in, and it explains what all of them mean. So do not worry about that. You can learn from there. And of course, we will go into full detail about the specific beat we're asking you to write next week. You'll get a lot of, in-depth detail about that. All right, counting down the moments. I'm sure you are. This is going to be fun. Oh, yes. And for those of you who are AutoCrit Pro members or AutoCrit members, or not even AutoCrit members, if you just want to join us by going into the hub, we will have events on Thursday at 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. to go over the Inspiration Studio further if you have any questions about anything involving the Inspiration Studio. All right. I think I got it covered. We have so much going on. It's wonderful. So I will see you around, everybody. Thanks. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell for more challenges, more fun, more writing content. And I will see you around, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep.